Where is the best spot along Georges River National Park? And is there a place where you can both have a picnic and go fishing? Well, watch to the end of the video to find out. Today we're going to walk the entire shorefront of Georges River National Park and check out all the parks, picnic areas and potential fishing spots. And finally we'll decide where the best spot along the river really is. Now, without further ado, let's get to it. We are here. Alrighty, we've parked up at the Georges River National Park, a little bit further down than I wanted. So we're going to head over that way now. So just behind me here we have the Georges River Jetty. As you can see, a great place to moor if you come here with your boat. Wow. Heading out the jetty here. It's the furthest out into the river you can get without a boat, obviously. Could be a good spot throwing in your fishing rod, I reckon. Only thing is you'd have to watch out for the boats, because as you can see there are two separate boat ramps here, because it gets really busy here some times of year and they need a double boat ramp to keep up with the demand. We've got another little pier here. Got the open water here of the Georges River. Just behind me here we have Morgan's Creek picnic area. Slightly run down, I think, you know, but it's sheltered. It's got tables and chairs. There are 8 sets underneath there. A nice big oval this whole way here. We also have a barbecue shelter over here, I think. And further along we also have bathroom facilities. Well, I think these are barbecues. Yep, definitely barbecues, but these fellas are old. They're old, they're rusty, they're flippin' dirty. A little bit of a shame someone isn't taking care of it very well. Although I remember coming here as a young lad for a school kind of excursion picnic style thing, and I don't think the place has changed at all. Remember these tables and chairs? I think they look exactly the same. The bathrooms haven't changed either. I think it's only the new piers and potentially the boat ramps as well that have been updated, changed, added. Certainly the park and pay is new. You used to have to pay at the little pay station. The boat ramp here on both sides of the jetty, one on each, is referred to as Morgan's Creek Boat Ramp. The one big point about this area here is you're not allowed to park in the area just out this direction unless you are launching a boat. So this is for cars and trailers only, and the parking for everybody else is a little bit further down. So the parking here at the Georges River National Park is towards Burrawang Reserve. The biggest thing about the areas here is there's not much seating. There's only that one undercover area, and that were the only seats to be found. Obviously a great place to launch your boat, and I think that's the point of that area there. It is also the point on the map closest to where the Georges River National Park is. So often you will be sent there and then be like, oh wait, no, we can't go there. We'll have to do a U-in, go to the actual parking. So keep that in mind if you come out this way. Here's our second stop, Burrawang Reach picnic area. Perhaps this one will be a little more family friendly, have more picnic tables, that kind of thing. Alright, we're now in Burrawang Reach picnic area here. You can see we have some tables, bins, more tables. There are barbecues over there as well. Not the newest of tables either here. You can see they're starting to rot away. They've been here for quite a while without much maintenance. These barbecues are better though. Not clean, but better. It seems nobody knows how to clean a barbecue when they're done. How funny. We also have across the road here some old tables and chairs. Morgan's Creek, Cattle Duffers Flat, and Fitzpatrick Park. Morgan's Creek is obviously where we've just come from. That's where the boat ramp is. And then we have these other two areas to visit as well, plus a bonus area a little bit later on. So just here we have one of the entrances to the Ridge walking track. They have several entrances going up to this walking track, pretty much at each picnic area here. But first we have to continue our way along the waterfront here, getting to the main part of the picnic area. And we kept coming along the water's edge here, along the Burrawang Reach picnic areas, and made it to the kind of main spot on the map where the picnic areas are shown. So obviously we have our more picnic tables here. There's charcoal bins next to the red bins over there as well. And we're continuing along the Georges River. Very nice. It is a bit of a drop down to the water, which would be the one thing to note. Probably only about a meter, but can limit what you can do at the water's edge. Like, it wouldn't be really that safe for swimming or anything like that. Although I read there is another location along here where it is much safer to do so. Scattered throughout the walk along here between areas, there are more bins and picnic tables and the like. Now the area here is tidal, so there would be times where the sand is easier to get to and times when the water is much higher and you can't get to it at all. Well, Burrawang picnic areas here are a little more family friendly, a lot more tables around. They're not covered, which would be one thing to consider, but there's a lot of space along here as well where you could just bring your camp chairs, a picnic blanket and set up shop for the day. Plenty of area here to fish from. Anywhere along the edge would get your line wet. I don't know if these areas would be that great for fishing. I think it would be very dependent on the tides. Found an even nicer bit of sand here. A little more beach-like, a little easier to get to as well. Pretty nice. Kind of in the midpoint between Cattle Duffers and Burrawang Reach picnic area here. One thing I did notice about the previous area here was the bottle collection container here. You can leave your bottles that can be collected and exchanged for a refund. I imagine you get people coming along here and pinching those though, because it's free money. Just had a big old boat come past. We have our first fishermen and women of the day. They're near the corner here. It looks like a good spot too. It's near some trees and some debris in the water. Not too bad. The next spot is Cattle Duffers picnic area. Well, there's the road to Cattle Duffers. It's closed off. Well, that's disappointing. Now obviously you can still walk past this area here. I'm gonna check it out quickly, but I don't think it serves a rating because you can't get there by car, but it could be better for fishing. It's weird coming down an old abandoned road. Feels like I'm out here in a zombie apocalypse or something. We'll keep my eye out for other people, of course, as well, because since it's closed off, it's an area of maybe unsavory people might be interested in visiting. Nice view of the river from here though. Got a little bit of beach, a little bit of shoreline, a little bit of rocks and that, but there are no tables and chairs out here anymore. They have definitely decommissioned the area. Just through the trees over there. I imagine that was a public restroom. I'll have to say, this whole area feels like a wasted opportunity. Even after being uncared for how many years it's been closed for, it's still got a nice green area you could have as a picnic area, but the road's really quite good. It's just overrun with plant life. Anyway, it is what it is. Well, from here we do have another entrance to the ridge track just here, albeit it looks a little on the sketchy side. Nah, I decided against it. It looks a little too unused for me. No, I decided I'm going to go back to the car, drop the car off at a new location, and then continue my exploration of the areas from there instead. So at this point we still have 3 areas we want to check out. Next stop is Fitzpatrick Park. Here we have our next spot, Fitzpatrick Park. Barbecue, fishing, toilets and bins, no dogs allowed and no fires allowed. Something you will have to note is this part of Fitzpatrick Park here is pay to park. So you will need to pop in your $8 for parking here. Walk up a little brow of the hill to the park itself. Right from the start here we do have toilets just here. Okay. We have old tables over here, but we also have brand new undercover areas. And when I say brand new, these look really new. You can even tell from the grass here that it hasn't even grown in. Brand new picnic area here. There's another new one there too. Nice. They've got the barbecues as well. Massive big oval. Nice spot there. Could be a good one fishing. Duckies. Yeah, this park is quite nice. You could fish anywhere along the waterfront here, I reckon. Get some good spots. And then behind us here, it's a big oval area with plenty of space to put out your picnic blanket. Throw down some picnic chairs, have a little barbecue. Nice, nice. This is going in the right direction, I think. Much nicer than the other areas we've been to so far. Nice. Now, next stop is just a bit further down that direction. We're going to go to the lagoon and check it out as well since we're here. It's a very prominent place to see the local bird life. We've got this view of the Georges River. Just about to get to the lagoon here, across this little bridge. It's actually ever so slightly dammed as well. Let's see the dam just there. And here we have the edge of the Georges River once again. You can definitely go fishing off this wall here. Probably about a metre deep at the bottom here at the moment. So if you cast a bit further out, you should be able to get some good fishing. Gotta try and cross this busy road. Give me a sec. Finally got a place to cross. And here we have Yeramba Lagoon. Nice, a lot of bird life in here. Here we have the sign for the other end of the loop track. Apparently it's a very good place to see native bird life. In fact, supposedly 100 different species of birds call this little lagoon here home. Although that was not always the case. Back in the 1960s, the council here dammed off a freshwater stream feeding the Georges River. And because of that, all the birds migrated and decided this wasn't the place they wanted to call home. For many years that was the case, and finally in 2018, the council here decided they would like to reintroduce and get the birds back into the lagoon here. So the way they did this was allowing this area to be only partially dammed, so that in high tide all the small fish will come back into the lagoon here to serve as food for the native birds. we've crossed back over here opposite Yeramba Lagoon here, back to the Georges River. So the river here is quite nice. There is no facilities here for a picnic, but realistically there's no bathrooms around here either. So it'd be a good place for fishing off the shoreline here. Not a great place for a picnic or a day out with family, I don't think. We'll have to see if our last spot can take the top prize. What on earth is this? Right in the middle of the field here. No tables and chairs around this area. Almost looks like a bird bath. Could be some piping there in the bottom. I wonder if it's an old like bubbler kind of thing. Anyway. Now there are a few things to consider when picking a fishing spot. You should find yourself a spot with a bit of tide so the fish will come past your hook. And of course, a very simple one near weeds is a good spot because that's where they hide. Fish right next to the weeds, they'll come out, eat your bait. Bob's your uncle, you got a fish. You can also look for places with current. So if you can see out in the water here, there are ripples going along here, so there's a bit of current. There could also be little fish along here as well. You should be able to see the sign to the entrance of Fitzpatrick Park just behind me here, where you have to pay for parking. Right next to me here is free parking. Not 20 meters away. So assuming there is parking, ladies and gentlemen, park for free. Now we're just outside the gates of Fitzpatrick Park here, going along a place called Ashton Shorefront, or Ashton Reserve. You can see behind us we have a lot of boats moored here. Got some seagulls out today. Yeah, look at all these houses. Most of them have multiple boats and caravans, cars as well, right on the shorefront. There's your houses, there's your boats. I imagine some of them also own these boats out in the water. If you got the money, they look like nice houses. And there was one for sale. Check it out quick. Hello. Brand new tables and chairs. A water bubbler and dog bubbler as well. Looks like there's a new pontoon here as well. I'm gonna go check that out. There's also a boat ramp. This little pontoon doesn't take you far out. We're only about 5 meters from the shore. Don't think it'd be much use for fishing. I do kind of feel like this is a more exclusive boat ramp though. It looks to be only about 5 spots for your boats and trailers. We're going to continue our way along the waterfront here, or the shorefront if you like, until we get to our very last spot. Now this is interesting. You can see here on the tables that one of the chairs is smaller than the other, the one on the left side. I wonder if that is to accommodate for a wheelchair or a mobility scooter. Looks like someone set up their own little set of chairs here to watch the water from. Quite nice. You can also see across the water here on the Georges River, there are some absolute mansions over here. I'll get you a closer look. As you can see, absolute mansions. Some of these look like they're 4 or 5 stories high. And assessing the maps, I can tell you that that is the area of Sandy Point, which turns out is not that far from Voyager Point. There you go. That looks like a nice spot to fish from. Here we are at the start of the Picnic Point reserves. Looks more like a walking trail between the two areas here. Here we are on the boardwalk. Very amongst the mangroves here now. Oh, here we are. It's about at the end of the boardwalk. Here we have Lambeth Reserve. It's actually the first place that I've seen the play equipment as well. Just behind me here. Covered tables and chairs. Rubbish bins as well. Ticks off all the boxes for this facility so far. We actually have another table and chairs here that has the shorter bit of chair. It must be a thing I've never noticed before though. Not once. But that's pretty cool. Ahead of us we have the bathrooms. I think it's time I test it out. Not the best toilets, not the worst toilets. They flush, so not too shabby, I guess. We do have another jetty here at Lambeth Reserve, however it specifically says that it's damaged and to keep out. So I'll just stay where there's ground underneath me. Well, I have to say, I think I'm liking this one the best. Let's check out the waterfront. I have to say this little part of the parks here at Lambeth Reserve feels more secluded than the other areas. I'd say the only thing about it that I could consider a negative is the lack of a boat ramp or a jetty you can actually get out into the water and fish from. You can fish from the shore here well enough, I would say. I think the biggest plus is the amount of tables and chairs you have here and the amount of extra oval you have as well. And considering there is a play equipment for young kids, it's pretty decent. It does look very dingy coming down the road towards the reserve, however. I actually thought it might have been closed, but it is not. And it is free to park. Alrighty. Well, we've checked out all the spots along the river here, and by far the #1 spot we found is here at Lambeth Reserve. They have a good mix of picnic areas, barbecues and other facilities, as well as being right on the shorefront where you can go fishing or go have a paddle in the water even. I was a little bit disappointed with Georges River National Park near the boat ramps up at Morgan's Creek. There was the boat ramp itself, which is obviously the only real facility there. It has bathrooms, sure, but only one set of tables. Not really ideal for a family day out. The facilities along the shoreline at Burrawang Reach picnic areas were a little bit older. You still have the opportunity to be right on the waterfront, and if you bring picnic chairs and picnic blankets, you would be fine. Set up your own barbecue, no problem, but the facilities were a little bit older. The tables and chairs starting to rot even. Although all along the shorefront, pretty much anywhere along there, you have the opportunity to fish from. The other big consideration is the cost of parking. I mean, it is only $8, but you do have to pay for parking in the Georges River National Park, as well as Fitzpatrick Park. That is included in that area. The only places where you don't have to pay are just outside the gates of Fitzpatrick Park and here at Lambeth Reserve. You will have the best opportunity to see the shorefront, as well as get yourself a spot to fish and have a picnic from. The only other comments I have about the areas here, all the way along the Georges River we visited today, they could all do with a little bit of an upgrade and a little bit of TLC, tender loving care. There are a few points where you can see decay on the facilities. The barbecues, for example, really need an update. Could do with some upgrades, guys. Well, that's about all from me today, guys. If you like this kind of content from me, please leave a like, comment, share and subscribe to Dan Ventures Out to see more from me. And we will catch you the next time we venture out.